All right.
Okay.
Welcome, everybody. Happy day. Happy whatever day we are at. I'm Katie Halper from New York City.
And I'm Heather Gold. I'm in Oakland. And Morning Jew, I've missed talking to you. It's been a
I
couple weeks.
know. I was away, Heather was away, but we're back.
We were speaking to various
We
people in
were.
rooms, which you can ask either of us to do. It's a thing we do.
Oh, yeah.
KatieHalper.com, HeatherGold.com.
Yeah, I showed my film and then I spoke about feministing and being a feminist.
I did a closing keynote at the Web Direction South in Australia, which was awesome. And I did a workshop performance of my new show, Everything is Subject to Change.
Let's start off with a story about a member of our own tribe, unfortunately, Richard Cohen.
Got to start out with the embarrassing Jew. We need a name for this segment.
You're right.
Shonda. The Shonda
of the week.
Shonda
of the week. So Richard Cohen is a columnist at the prestigious Washington Post. He made a point about racism or lack thereof in the GOP. And he said, today's GOP is not racist, as Harry Belafonte alleged about the Tea Party, but it is deeply troubled about the expansion of government, about immigration, about secularism, about the mainstreaming of what used to be the avant-garde. People with conventional views must repress a gag reflex when considering the mayor-elect of New York, a white man married to a black woman and with 2 biracial children. End quote. So basically he's saying Republicans aren't racist. They're the type of people who kind of reminisce about the old days. They're just those types of conventional people who are made nauseated by the sight of interracial couples.
Is Richard Cohen a Republican?
No, he's a liberal. That's why he got into all this trouble. He's the liberal. You know how like they like having a token, whatever? He also has a record for like apparently sexually harassing an intern, telling her to turn around so he could see why they hired her. And he just talked about how thuggish it was to wear hoodies. And that's why, of course, Trayvon Martin was perceived as dangerous. Who are these conventional people who walk around suppressing vomit when they pass interracial couples? I mean, it's like they're not racist because insert evidence of their racism.
You know, I know. I mean, I don't know. I guess unfortunately it reminds me of a conversation I had with a guy I used to be friends with who, and this has come up many times in my life, where people tell me they're not homophobic,
But
it's just naturally disgusting to people, men together.
Right.
It's just a natural thing, and that's of course how people feel, and that's what makes them normal,
Right.
and what makes the other people. I mean, it's the inability to distinguish between this is how you feel
exactly.
and this is
what's
how
next?
everyone
Right.
feels.
Is this good for the Jews or bad for the Jews, this thing? I mean, it's good that he's getting
Is
called
there-
out. It's bad because he's a Jew, and I'm embarrassed. It's a Shonda. And
Also, he goes after the New York mayor, and by definition, the mayor of New York is
Is
going to be
Jewish.
kind of Jewish.
yeah.
Pretty much. And I'm sorry.
And there are a lot of bluish. I have a lot of bluish friends, black and Jewish friends. There's a lot of Jews who are in, interracial relationships.
Yeah, we've usually been pretty decent at that.
Yeah, about that. Yeah,
It's one of our,
it's one of our strengths.
one of our strengths. We may not be great at meeting other Jews, but
Right.
if you're not like us,
Yeah,
right on.
we'll breathe.
If
with
you
you.
try. Well, it could be good for the Jews is if there's some kind of wake-up call. I mean,
Right.
this is to some degree, let's be honest, part of the Jewish generational divide.
Yeah,
I mean,
it also reminds me of when Mike Bloomberg called Bill de Blasio's campaign racist because he uses his family. Because he obviously, if he weren't racist, he would lock his family up in the basement because that's how a non-racist deals with having a black wife and biracial kids.
if you're carrying the queer vote and you're married, and you've married the has-been,
Yeah.
I mean,
she's
that's
a former
a pretty
lesbian too, right?
that's a pretty impressive ninja trick.
Yeah, and
You know what I'm saying? I mean, obviously she's queer and not gay, but
Right.
now
He
you were
also
saying?
carried the black vote more than Dinkins did. He got more of the black vote than Dinkins did.
why do you think?
I don't know. I don't know why actually. I think Loda was is so terrible, so no one was going to vote for him maybe. But I don't know. I think he's being perceived as kind of black by marriage.
Or
You
is
know,
there a
the
kind
first
of
black-
get out the vote strategy, like post because Stop and Frisk got so bad? Is there sort of we really need to make
I'm
this
sure
happen?
that's why actually. That must be why because the stop and frisk stuff is so egregious, and he actually spoke out about it. I love that Bloomberg wants his legacy. He's trying to overturn the thing that overturned stop and frisk. That's what he wants his legacy to be. But anyway, let's go on to our next
Bloomberg
story.
is out. Sean is a Shonda by Richard Cohen. Richie Cohen.
I actually think
No,
Bloomberg's
has-
more of a Shonda because he has policy implications, whereas Cohen's just talking. But we can do a Shonda off. Let's do a Shonda off. We'll start that in our show.
We'll have a competition.
Yeah.
It'll be good. All right. So next,
Rob Ford.
I'm obsessed. I am from Toronto. I'm curious, somebody who's not in Toronto, Katie Halper, who's not even Canadian, because if there's one thing Canadians are obsessed with, which is similar to what Jews are obsessed with, is what does everyone else think of us?
Right.
We're very curious. So what do you know of this?
Insecurious. How's that for a word?
Ooh,
It's good, right?
Ooh,
what do I know
good.
of this? I know that this guy is hysterical. I'm glad he exists, kind of. His apology was the biggest bullshit apology I've ever heard. It was like,
which one?
The one where he was announcing basically, I'm so sorry. I wish there was something I can do. There's nothing I can do except remain the mayor. It's like, no, you know what you could do? You could step the fuck down is what you could do. And he's basically like, I'm saving you guys so much money that I can't step down. It would be irresponsible of me. So I'm going to hold out until the election. It was hysterical because they were asking him if they thought he had an alcohol problem and a drug problem. He's like, no, I do not. And they were like, have you purchased illegal drugs in the last 2 years? And he was like,
no, he admitted that he
yes,
had.
I have. But he waited
Finally.
like an hour. He said, in his defense,
Okay.
he was like, I probably smoked the crack during one of my drunken stupors. And I actually think he's kind of, I feel like this is an extension of, the Tea Party. I feel like it's this obsession with slashing spending that he thinks that's why it's okay for him to stay in office.
Canadians have a different relationship with money and saving money and budgets than Americans, I think, in a way that isn't just considered super right versus left.
Okay.
It's pretty much it was a scandal not very long ago that one of his scandals, and there are many, if you want to go back and read about like Rob Ford's history and all the crap he said and done, and many things he's done that aren't about his obvious drug and alcohol
And he's
problems.
racist
Many
and
just
sexist. He makes all these racist, sexist comments.
Even beyond all that stuff, just
Okay.
like the basic, what he's doing to run things and what he's, done that's fair or not. I mean, he used his office to raise money for a football team he coached. He at one point commandeered a bus and ordered everybody off the bus to take his football team to a game. If you know an addict, come on, this is like a classic public. It's like Charlie Sheen times 1,000.
Right.
You can't impeach the mayor of Toronto, so it's a bit of a question of how do you get rid of this person. I try to do
Just
some
roll
research
him
to
out.
find out.
Just roll him.
They trotted out his mother and sister. You see the interview with his mom and sister, you'll realize Rob Ford is the nice guy in the family.
Wow.
He's the most self-aware person. His mother was like, get a breathalyzer in your car.
Right.
That's what you should have. I mean, one of his recent things is he's agreed to have a driver. So let's be clear, Rob Ford's big support in the suburbs is immigrants and many people of color.
Oh, wow. Why?
Many. Very much. I read a comment from someone recently post online saying, I'm Somali and the police don't care about me and the media doesn't care about me. At least he's going to cut my taxes.
Right.
So great.
Interesting.
And taxes in Canada are a lot higher than in the U.S., but you also get health care in. It's not even clear that he's saving anyone money.
Oh, okay.
He is
Right,
really
you're right.
clear
You're right.
about saying he's saving everyone
yeah.
money. It's not
Like a
clear
Tea
how
Party
much
here.
that he's actually saved.
Right.
And that, I think, is really, it's a very charisma-less culture, and Rob Ford is by far the most charismatic guy.
It's really
and they don't
sad
have
that
anyone
he's probably
to
the
run against.
country's most charismatic figure in the history
Well,
of
at this
Canada.
point,
Right.
it is he also the poster boy for white privilege. I mean, the guy,
Right. Yeah.
can you imagine anyone else not being fired
No.
in this situation?
No, there's no. That's a good point.
He did get thrown out of a Jewish event. That's where he groped this woman who is a political competitor of hers,
Was she
rival of
Jewish?
his. No, he groped her ass. It was like at a Jewish Israel event.
Oh, okay. Because I was going to say that at least we know he likes Jewish women.
What's happening to him might be good for the Jews in order to get comfortable with public humiliation, to not take it so personally. I think we've done a lot of being worried about how we look.
Okay.
And so I think there's a
So he
certain
raises
degree.
the bar in a way. He's so embarrassing that Jews can do things now that they would be embarrassed by, and they don't have to feel so embarrassed. I think he's good for the Jews because he's so un-Jewish. He's like the least Jewish-looking and Jewish-acting person that anyone. It's just like a team. We get the point. We get the point from this because it's like it's a non-Jew messing up.
He was just requested to not go to the Santa Claus Day Parade.
Whoa.
So maybe he'll be having Chinese food and watching a movie with us.
Oh my God, bad for the Jews. We don't want him in our tent. So So this is all bad for the Jews and good for the Jews at the same time. That's our verdict.
We want to thank Mark Palermo. Our first tipper, and you two can tip us here, both sending us stories you'd like us to talk about, and if you want to tip us to help keep this show going so we can get some nice logos, nice editing. He wanted to hear what we think about this op-ed take that the Brits had a big, unprecedented meeting, just like in Skyfall. Did you see that Bond movie? It's so good.
It actually is good. I saw it on a plane.
With Helen Mirren. So you know the scene where they have at the end with all of the different spy. Yeah. Sorry. Oops. Terrible. Now I'm going to be excommunicated from the lesbians. Never mind the Hawaiian legislator. I'm going to be screwed. So where they have all of the different security groups all represented in front of Parliament, in front of, having to speak up because of the NSA. The Guardian in England is covering that, just like here, that basically the UK and the American governments have been spying on all of their citizens in incredible detail.
But the difference is that in the UK, there hasn't been any, and it's funny because the UK usually have those shouting matches in Parliament that are so great, where they're like, "I dare you!" But they're not upset at all about this, is what this op-ed is saying.
A point of order, the gentleman. No, they're not.
They're being very British and reserved about it, and instead of raising a ruckus, both the Brits and the normal Brits, the civilian Brits, and the politicians are just sitting there drinking tea and eating their cucumber sandwiches, while Americans are relatively upset about it. And part of his theory is that because of their idea of the government, they don't feel as much it's of the people. Because of the history of monarchy and the legacy of monarchy, they feel like they're more subjects than citizens. Because it's they're ruled from above. And that's why he thinks this is happening.
The thing he didn't mention, that one of the commenters in the New York Times did, which is, I think, probably the main point, is that they have a much more recent and much more intense experience with terrorism than the U.S. does from within. Right, for many, many years, and they've seen sort of, in the same way Canadians have a different relationship with taxes. Yes, Canadians pay higher taxes. They also have a different relationship with what those taxes pay for.
You sound like a Tea Party. You're comparing taxes and terrorism.
No, I'm just saying there's a different relationship to certain governmental things. Right. I'm not an expertise on Brits, but I only have my Via Canada Rose Red.
You are a member of the Commonwealth. You are a member of the Commonwealth.
I know. I mean, I do, I'm drinking tea and all that sort of thing. I do know that there's much less of a freak out. Americans freak out pretty much the most.
I kind of wish we did freak out more, though. Remember when in Spain, when the Spanish president lied about who caused the bomb in Madrid so that it would look like it was, ETA, because he wanted it to not look like it was related to their participation in Iraq. They voted him out. He was going to win, and they called him a liar. I think we freak out about some things, but not enough.
Americans?
Yeah. I mean,
But you're saying you want to see political consequences.
Yeah.
I'm saying.
You're saying the Americans freak out. It just doesn't translate into political action.
I'm saying on a cultural level, you feel the freak out, and sometimes culturally that makes a big difference, like Stonewall.
So
and it helps change everything.
Let's figure out if this is good for Jews.
This is a real puzzler. Is spying Jewy? Is nosiness Jewy?
Yeah, it's it's Jewy because it's bad. It's good for Jews because we like to be nosy and pry. So now we know that the Brits will let us be nosy and pry, and they won't get all bothered by it, so we can be a little bit. We can ask them if they, about their job, if they know any nice doctors for our daughters to date, and they won't get upset.
Or is the government taking Jewish jobs because they could be out there learning everything in the media about everybody, and now they can't run things because the government's tapping.
You mean they're taking away Wait, what do you mean?
What I mean is, how can we be running the world like we do all the time?
But it's good. If we're running the world, that means we're spying on them and they won't notice as much. It helps us run the world. Who runs the world? Jews, Jews. Who runs the world? Jews, Jews. All right.
We should do that. That's definitely a music video. Listen, it's a delight as always to see you.
Thank you very much. And I will see you next week.
Thanks, Mark Palermo.